What's up, guys? This is Bradley with Zach and Dawson here today, and it is Sunday, October 13th, 4:15 p.m. Today we are reacting to Ravens 30-23 victory over the Commanders. Ravens improve to 4-2. Commanders fall to 4-2. Zach, what are your initial thoughts from the game today?
Well, I want to point out, Zay, Derrick Henry, Lamar Jackson. I mean, key to success getting those three going. They had days. Zay had a career day. Derrick Henry was him as always, and Lamar just felt like the perfect game manager. Um, really, the only negative I could even say about his day was that pick, and that pick wasn't really his fault. I mean, sure, it could have been a better ball, but Mark Andrews goes through his hands, and even then, Mark Andrews bounce back game. What a great day for him. Um, Against the number one scoring offense, the defense did as much as they could. 23 points. I'm happy with that. The yards department was kind of iffy, but hey, great all around effort from everyone today.
Yeah, dude, that was an awesome game. It was really fun to watch, and it was basically foot on the gas pedal from start to the end. And the Ravens played a great game all around. I know the defense at times was very questionable too, but the team clicked today. The offense was fantastic, as it has been the last 4 games now. Lamar Jackson played an excellent game at quarterback, managed the game very well, distributed the ball very well. Derrick Henry, once again, went crazy. Rashad Bateman was involved heavily. Mark Andrews got back into it. Zay Flowers had the best game of his career. Great day for the Ravens offense. Great day to be a Ravens fan. We improved to 4-2 now after dropping the first 2 games of the season, where everybody was in a little bit of a turmoil. And 4 games in a row now, 4-2, and it's looking pretty good. So feels good today.
Yeah, this offense right now is literally unstoppable. Ravens have, continuing to put up 30 plus points every game. And you have this whole conversation going into it of like Jayden Daniels and Lamar. And I think we can all agree that Jayden Daniels is going to be a franchise quarterback. He played very well today. As you saw, like Tony Romo a couple times is like, this guy's a rookie. Like he's doing things that a rookie should not be doing. 4th and 10, just converting them to Ertz, to McLaurin. Just looks like a veteran quarterback out there. But at the end of the day, Lamar goes 20 for 26, 323 yards, a touchdown, a pick, like you guys said, wasn't his fault. 114 passer rating. I believe that's 3 games in a row with a passer rating over 100 for Lamar. Just an insane game. And when you have Lamar passing for 300 and Henry rushing for 100, I believe two consecutive games, I think. That's just, I mean, what are you gonna do as a
Last week, I
defense?
think he was close. I think he got like 90
Yeah,
yards, but
yeah.
still, yeah, yeah. I mean, that is unstoppable. That really is. Like Romo said it best at the end of the game. He's like, "This is the type of team that can win in December and win in January. Like it's made for that. They still healthy, and then the defense constantly getting better. Really, they had a fantastic broadcast. I thought they were talking really well about both sides, and I loved whenever they mentioned what 5 coaches on our staff leave last season, and this is the start. I mean, really going into the game, you could have said this is going to be a massive shootout. Like Ravens are going to put up points, sure, but Commanders can do it too. And really seeing 23 on the board for me makes me super confident in the ability for later on this year to get better. It felt like today wasn't the best effort, but it's definitely inching towards it.
Yeah, it's good to see too with, the way these last 4 games have played out. You have seen a complete opposite of what we kind of got used to towards last season and the first 2 games of the season. The Ravens are not taking their foot off the gas pedal by any means and getting super conservative late in games on the offensive side of the ball. And they're just running, running, running. And Derrick Henry gets stronger as the game goes on, it feels like, and he's like the ultimate closer, dude. To all my baseball fans out there, he's like Edwin Diaz on the Mets in his prime. He's just been fantastic, and he comes out here, dude, and he runs away at the game, like quite literally runs away. And I don't know what you're supposed to do as a defense. I mean, you're already worn out the whole game, and towards the end of the game, you just get destroyed. So it's been very good, and it's very nice to see this Ravens offense right now clicking on pretty much all levels. I mean, even our wide receivers are really starting to step up with Rashad Bateman and Zay Flowers having great games today, respectively. Zay Flowers literally had the greatest game of his career, and Rashad Bateman was very close to him. It was very good, and all the props and respect to the world of Todd Monken, man. He's really got this offense firing on all cylinders right now, man. And I don't really know how you can put anything against him. And also the offensive line the last 4 weeks has been great. I mean, we got this new rotation with Andrew Voorhees left for a while with the high ankle sprain. You got McCary at left guard now with Rosengard starting at right tackle. And correct me if I'm wrong, I don't think we've had any glaring weakness or issues with this offensive line really in the last 3 games. Like, I have not seen any pass rusher, explode the game and make an impact and ruin it. And I have not seen the offensive line severely struggling. So that's big. That's awesome. And that's really helping because if you saw that Derrick Henry, I think it was his second touchdown of the game, he essentially walked right in the end zone. I mean, it was a fantastic block. He had a wide open hole and he just walked in the end zone.
Yeah, I mean, you look at it now and what you were talking about, like just this Ravens offense, everyone clicking. You got Andrews today who ended up catching obviously a rough start there with that drop that led to a pick. We're all talking about 10-point drop, all that stuff. But Andrews comes back and has, a solid game with 3 catches for 66 yards and a touchdown. Is that 2 games in a row now? Like very classic Mark Andrews games. Feels like he's almost sort of back these past 2 games. This is a really good point from Dawson.
Mm-hmm.
Ravens have been like leading the league in penalties, more penalties than the other team every game this year, only 3 today. So that's definitely a very bright spot today. Ravens finished with almost 500 yards, 484 total yards. Lead the time of possession 36-24. Again, success in the red zone. I mean, it was almost just besides this iffy secondary play, it's almost a perfect game. I felt the front 7 played well. Felt like the linebackers played well too. The secondary is sort of that only position group on the whole 53-man roster that's sort of lagging behind still, I feel like.
See, if you're going to talk about as far as position groups in the defense, I'm still very concerned about the secondary, especially after today, which I know they didn't go crazy and have like a phenomenal game, just like Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase and T. Higgins did last week. But the secondary is still very much a concern. They give up a lot of chunk plays. I feel like there's a lot of miscommunication and a lot of mistakes being made, which I don't really understand why. It's now 6 games into the season and it's still happening. So it's definitely concerning. But I'm also concerned about the linebackers. I mean, Roquan Smith, you can ask anybody, has not been playing his best ball this year. And I'm not saying he's been bad by any means, but he's been a little bit exposed, especially when he's dropping into coverage at times, which I don't understand why that's not Trenton Simpson's job. I mean, I know it's not always going to happen, but Trenton Simpson is very fast. He's very quick. And if anything, I feel like he needs to be the one more so going against receivers and tight ends, but the middle of the field's been a vulnerability, and they've been getting exposed. I think Zach Ertz today had a pretty good game from what I saw. He was included very heavily. The middle of the field was getting very exposed amongst the Ravens defense, but defense very much still a question mark. 6 games into the season, and I'm just hoping they can turn it around. But they've bent but not broke the last 4 games. So as long as they have the bend not break mentality, this team's going to keep winning just because the offense alone is an absolute juggernaut, and I don't see anything ahead of them stopping them necessarily with who we've played the last 4 weeks. The last 4 games have not been easy by any means, and it's not like the Ravens have had like a pass as far as why they're winning. They're playing very tough teams, and they're winning. I would say very convincingly with putting up a lot of points on the board and moving the ball big time and scoring a lot of touchdowns.
Yeah, Taco Fall brings up a good point in the chat. Every play they had, it seemed like it was 20 plus. Like it would be the start of a drive, and they're getting big play downfield to start it every single time. It almost felt like as soon as they got the ball, their drive started at like the 50, like at the 45. It was really hard to watch that because it always felt like it was coming, and the Ravens couldn't figure it out. But I'll give credit to the Commanders for this. They were really all over it with play calling. They would dump it down. They had that flea flicker that turned into like a big gain. It was just really good calling from Kingsbury. It's just some of the plays weren't really as explosive as they hoped. In the past, the Commanders have gotten those big plays and then broken a few more tackles, or maybe on a couple of those shorter gains, broke some tackles, got loose. And that's what creates some scoring plays for them. And it was just kind of missing that. I saw, I don't remember if it was Roquan or Kyle Hamilton. I think it was Roe. He talked about the Commanders really have an offense based on being able to make the first guy miss and then making bigger plays out of them. And Roquan said, I think that's our bread and butter. I think we kind of take out that first one. And if we do, there was some instances where we didn't get them wrapped up, but that's going to happen. That's what their team does. And I'm just overall really proud of the defense, even if it didn't look like our best game. it felt very like the past, like last year, where we would get early stops and then have to get big third down stops. Their rushing game was kind of irrelevant again. I think them missing Brian Robinson sucked, but Eckler had, some good plays here and there, at least starting every drive somewhat well for them. But our defense really read right through it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Our rush defense, man, is
yeah,
incredible. And I know they were missing, consensus their number one back in Brian Robinson, and obviously that's a huge blow. But I think we gave up like less than 30 yards to Austin Eckler on the ground. Like it's our rush defense is incredible, man. And they've been balling all season. I think they're like number one or number two in the NFL with rush defense as far as yards allowed per game. So huge props to that, man. The defensive line is absolutely wrecking and not allowing offenses to really kind of open up the run game at all because it's basically been shut down all season long. And we've been playing some pretty good running backs, man, and they just have been non-existent to say the least.
yeah. The Commanders had a total of just 52 rushing yards today, averaged below 3 yards a carry. So really could not get the run game going. We have a lot of comments in here to get to the first one. How good was the Ngakoue signing? He had a sack today, and I feel like he looked better today than he did in any game in 2020 when he was on the Ravens. He was consistently getting pressure, and I think
Yeah.
that's one of those cheap signings that will end up
He's
being helpful.
he's sort of a late game record dude, and coming from the left side of the offensive line, I feel like the entire game he was just absolutely wrecking, and he kept pushing JD up into the pocket, forcing incompletions or forcing a sack that he had, or just anything that would go our way. I think it was a great signing. I mean, I can't imagine he's getting much, so kind of bring him in as a depth piece, and hopefully he can just do exactly what he did today. They brought him up, I think, now the second week in a row, and he's been getting pressure, man. He's been making an impact. He hasn't just been a shadow in the dark. Like he's been there, man. He's making the plays, and I think he's doing exactly what the team brought him in to do. And we didn't really see much of Odafe this week or David Ojabo. Is more so not even really Kyle Vanoy. I mean, if any pass rush today, it was probably Ngakwe, to be honest with you. So I think it was a great signing. Looking at it now, 3 weeks removed from it, he's been doing exactly what they wanted him to do the last 2 weeks. So as long as he can keep stacking these productive games, I'm here for it.
Yeah, the rest of the pass rush today was more on the interior side. You have Michael Pierce getting a half sack, Matabike getting a half sack, and Travis Jones had that big sack on his own earlier in the game as well. Comment from Taco Fall. Thoughts on Bateman's past 2 games. Zach, what are you thinking there?
It's making me eat my words. I said not too long ago that I was kind of out on him, but wow, he's been our big play guy. He's been creating separation. There's been a lot of stats about this. Bateman creating separation against whoever he's playing, and oh my gosh, it was insane today. Like the Commanders DBs are not good by any means, but he really made him look silly, especially Zay in the first half. It felt like it usually feels like whenever a receiver has a really big first half, they kind of get taken out of it in the next, just because, coordinators want to eliminate them and try and make the offense beat them in other ways. But since they got taken out, Bateman, Andrews, Aguilar, they stepped up. And it just goes to show that this offense really is, if not the best, it's one of the best in the league, because even Derek wasn't really going crazy in the rushing stats, I don't think, in the first half. And every other thing besides Zay Flowers clicked in the second half. It just shows that we're a dominant team right now. Everything's clicking. Like you guys said, it's really fun to watch. It's kind of funny that last year we were so spoiled by a number one defense, and now this year we're spoiled by a number one offense. It's
Yeah.
pretty insane.
Like, think about if we had this offense last year with that defense we had. It'd be a no-brainer Super Bowl winner if we stayed healthy. Like, it
Oof.
would just be unfair to the NFL. But right now we're with a struggling defense, but we have the number one offense, which is quite literally firing on all cylinders. I mean, they are distributing the ball very well. And Rashad Bateman the past 2 games, man, I have absolutely no complaints. He is getting the separation. He is catching them when he's needed to. He is making plays after he catches it. Like he's doing great. Like this is exactly what we need him to do. And if he can, continue this and stack these games on a consistent basis alongside Zay, and Zay obviously keeps doing what he's doing, man, this wide receiver core would be a lot better than people thought it would be, and it would help this offense even way more than it already needs the help. So I love it, and this is exactly what Rashad Bateman was kind of brought here to be. I think he's not a number one wide receiver, obviously, but the prototype that he serves as the wide receiver 2 in Baltimore behind Zay and the whole offense around him, man, I think it's perfect, and it's gonna keep stacking, and it's gonna keep helping.
Yep.
Yeah, both of them are almost impossible to cover one-on-one, and you saw both of them. How many crossers did Zay catch today over the middle in man coverage? I swear it was like 4 or 5. Just looked the
Yeah,
exact same. And Bateman on a couple slants, just the corner covering him is 5 yards to his left when he's cutting right. They're both just really, really hard to cover. Comment from Two Federal. We need some more man coverage drills. The secondary was definitely rough, and I think Nate Wiggins got routed up a couple times. Humphrey got routed up a couple times. The only person I didn't see get beat badly in coverage was Stevens, who once again is the stickiest corner in the NFL, I swear. But just, I mean, that touchdown to McLaurin, I don't even think you can blame him.
no.
But he had a couple PBUs today. I mean, I'd still say Stevens is probably the best corner today, even though he gave up a few big plays. But it's almost like, what is he supposed to do in these situations?
Yeah, he allows absolutely 0 separation, and he is quite literally the stickiest corner you'll see, but the dude has no ball skills at all. Like, he can't make a play on the ball. I mean, he has before, but he can't, like, everyone sees it. Like, that touchdown on McLaurin, dude, you cannot blame the DB on that at all. Like, Stevens was all over him.
His
He literally
arm
had
was in there.
Yeah.
he had his arm literally in Terry McLaurin's hands when he was trying to catch the ball. Like, there's at the end of the day, that's just a really good quarterback making a really good play at a time they really need it against a really good or with a really good wide receiver. So you could be the best corner in the league, dude, and you wouldn't be able to stop that. So it's just tough play that happened, tough break for us, but at the end of the day, we won, so it doesn't matter. But yeah, Stevens, man, he's been playing great, and he's all over wide receivers, man. But he gives up the big play ball a little more so than I would like to admit.
Yeah, I would basically sum it up to great defense, better offense. Like it really was just a lot of those plays where Daniels was fitting that into like a keyhole, dude. Like he was throwing amazing passes, and that was really the only drives that they got going. But Stevens, I'm going to be a little mean. I don't necessarily put him as our top back yet, just because of these instances. It feels like that happens every time with him, where it's good defense, better offense. So something is missing to it, like where he takes the next step. But overall, he was locking him up. It's just really, really good offense.
I mean, I feel like that next step with Stevens would be like a top 5 corner in the league. So
Probably.
there's not really. It's hard to be annoyed or frustrated with it when if he took that one more step, he's probably a top corner in the league.
Yeah, I think I'm only saying it because I'm being critical of him because I think
Yeah.
he really does have the potential to do that. That's the only reason why I say it.
Yeah. I feel like we talked about Zay. I mean, just impossible to cover. I don't even know what to say. I feel like he's improving every game, and he did a little bit better of a job today at getting upfield after the catch. But we want to see that continue to improve.
He's so he's so dangerous after the catch, man. And it's
Yeah.
back-to-back games now for Zay with over 100 yards, and we love to see it, man. This is our wide receiver 1, and if he keeps stacking these 100+ yard games, man, that's exactly what we need, dude.
Yeah, and then we have a comment from Moneyboy here. Tony Romo said, "We have a closer, and if you overcommit, Lamar keeps it." This is so true when you look at the Cowboys game, this game, the Bengals game in overtime. There's so many times in the past, even in the Lamar era, where we're unable to get a first down, and the other team gets the ball back and wins the game. And that's multiple times now this year where the Ravens close it out on offense. And I think obviously Derrick Henry's a massive part of that. And that's been really good to see as well.
Yeah, like we're finally keeping our foot on the gas pedal and like finishing these games the exact way we were playing the entire game. Like it's like obviously we saw in the Raiders game and multiple times last season where the Ravens get up and they don't necessarily have a closer. They have Lamar Jackson, but he's not the beat you up closer like Derrick Henry, of course, is. And dude, he's just you can't stop it. It's like a Dodge Ram driving at you. There's no stopping it, man. You can only hope to limit it, but now he's got 4 games in a row with over 100+ rushing yards, which is just absurd. It's like it's just an every 2 touchdowns in 3 games this season out of 6, one touchdown he's scored in every game so far, in 2 touchdowns in 3 out of 6. It's just the dude's an absolute freak, and he's literally on pace to have the best season of his career. And he's in I don't even know what year it is. He's been in the league for a while, and he's on pace to have the best year of his entire career.
Yeah, he's 30 years old and he's still playing like this. Like I think they mentioned in the broadcast, he still has the fourth fastest time clocked as a ball carrier this year. So just
That's insane.
insane from Charles. Do you think Henry could win MVP if he hits 2,000 yards? I think I I just don't think a non-quarterback can win MVP in today's day and age. Henry, he's in the running for Offensive Player of the Year and very well might be able to win it. So that'd be really cool. I mean, have the Ravens ever had an Offensive Player of the Year? I don't think so. So that would be really cool. We got some conversations about Nate Wiggins in here,
Yeah, I want to talk about this.
who we talked about a little bit, but I mean, you can't expect a rookie to be playing that well. And also, there are a couple plays where he's right there. And the hold on Noah Brown near the end of the game, that's one of those situations where you don't need, he's running with him. He's right there. You don't need to tug the jersey. He's a rookie.
Yeah, it felt like his rookie hiccup day. I'm going to actually disagree with you, Brad. I think he lost Noah Brown there. And I think if he didn't hold him there, he was probably gone. That was a perfect pass from Daniels. It just felt like it wasn't his day today. He had a great couple of breakups. Just rough day for him in this one.
Yeah, and statistically speaking, and just the overall outlook, I mean, corner is literally one of the hardest positions to
Oh, yeah.
transition from college to NFL. I mean, you ask, that's just a known thing. And so it's hard to expect this guy to come in and be locked down, no matter who he's playing. And the good thing is he's not a number one corner. It's not like we're asking him to cover Jamar Chase or,
Mm-hmm.
Justin Jefferson every game, but it's just like he has the luxury of coming into a defense which on paper has a very good secondary. However, they're not playing like it, but he's only going to get better, dude, as he stacks games played. He's only going to get better from here. And I do agree today was kind of like that game, like not a welcome to the NFL moment because it's not the context for it, but it was definitely like that rookie game where you could tell like there's just a little lack of experience and knowledge of the game and just kind of bonehead decisions at times, but it's all right. He's gonna bounce back. He's gonna be a really good player. We've seen the flashes. We know why he was a first round pick. And the luxury, like I said, of not being our number one corner and being asked upon covering the best target every week is only gonna help him. And it's gonna be very nice.
Yeah, this Marcus Williams stuff is becoming a weekly thing. I don't know if necessarily he was horrible in the Bills game or anything like that, but oh my goodness, I'm getting tired of kind of bringing him up. I think everyone's pointing towards letting him loose in the offseason, and if we're in week 6 talking about that, that's never good. And
Yeah.
I think he was the closest defender whenever Terry had one of his touchdowns.
Yeah.
I'm not sure it was his fault or not. I wasn't paying that close of attention, but either way, Marcus has been very disappointing, guys.
Today, I feel like it was really only that one touchdown play. I didn't really notice him make any more other mistakes, but that's going to show when you've been struggling, it's going to pop out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
And I
especially
think I'm
when
also. Oh, I'm sorry, Dawson.
no, you're
I
fine.
think I also want to be very critical of him. You pay him what 4 years for $70 million. You have to critique him like he is a $70 million player. So we're just not seeing any big plays. Even Roquan in his off plays is still getting crazy hard hits at the line of scrimmage. He's still active. He's still a presence in the game. And Marcus Williams doesn't really feel like it right now.
Yeah, it just sucks because he's literally one of our highest paid players, and like you said, we sent him to a 4 year, $70 million+ extension. I'm sorry, contract just
Mm-hmm.
years ago. And unfortunately, it's just one of those free agent signings that has not worked out for us ever since we brought him in. He's been battling a ton of injuries, and the best ball, like we said, last week was last year when he had a torn pec, which is crazy to say, but he's fully healthy this season, way more healthy than he was last season, and he's not playing as good as he did. So it's weird. But we just gotta hope that he can bounce back. Another thing, like I just said with Nate Wiggins, he has the luxury of being in a room with a guy like Kyle Hamilton and a veteran in Jackson. So it's not like he's our number one safety and we have to put him out there every play. There's a luxury that, if he is underperforming and not playing to the greatest of his capabilities, that he's not asked upon as our number one safety. So, again, he's in a really good defensive group with a lot of really good players who are not exactly playing great right now, but they are very experienced veteran leaders. So the only thing we can hope is he bounces back, but it does suck because he's paid a lot of money, and we were really happy to bring him here because he was a star safety in New Orleans for a long time. He was very good. I shouldn't say for a long time, but a generous period of time. So, he has been pretty wishy-washy the last couple weeks, and the fan base is quickly jumping ship on, a potential departure this offseason. But like Zach said, if you're saying this in week 6, man, it's not a good sign. So, but there's tons of games left, so we'll see how he bounces back and how he responds. And who knows, maybe Marcus Williams will have a two-pick game in the next couple weeks, and we'll all completely forget about that past.
Yeah, in 2022, before he got injured, that Dolphins game, week 2, did he have 2 picks or did he have 1 and dropped another? But those first couple games, he was all over the place in 2022.
Yeah.
And like you guys said last year, playing with an injury, he was playing well. And yeah, it's just tough. Rod Wave with the comment, 4th and 12. Let me see what the Commanders' 4th down. They were just 1 for 1 on 4th down. So, but they got a penalty on another, so kind of like 2 for 2. But they convert a lot of 4th downs, and like we talked about earlier, it felt like every drive was a 20-yard play to start, and that was just not good to see. So
Yeah, Washington is 9 for 9, I believe, on 4th downs this season. So they
yeah,
clearly are one of the better teams, if not the best, at converting 4th downs this season. So you do got to look at that factor. But dude, it's just at the end of the day, this defense is giving up way too many chunk plays or giving up big yardage plays, man. And it's like Brad said, it's like the first play of the drive at times, and it's like they start on their 20 and it's 1st and 10 at the 40 within like 5 seconds, and it's like, all right, well, this defense is already on their back legs, like fighting for their life. So it just, they need to quit being so vulnerable over the middle of the field, man. And they really got to clean up this miscommunication, because several times today you saw the defense, guys were clearly not on the same page and they were waving each other down and screaming and miscommunications and stuff. I think one caused a timeout late in the game, but so I don't know. There's just like a general like miscommunication thing going on now. And that could be because, this defense is still under year 1 of a new defensive coordinator. Who knows? But I hope it cleans up, man, because if this defense can bounce back to even half of what it was last season, oh my gosh, this team would be absolutely filthy, because this offense right now is just absolutely lights out. And I would say the number 1 offense in the NFL right now. If you're talking through 6 games, it's definitely the number 1 offense. Um, and I think it quite literally is, with stats and numbers. But I'm not expecting this defense to come out and be Mike McDonald defense where they're number 1 shutdown, holding teams to less than 10 points. Like it doesn't have to be like that. It just, if this defense can just tighten up the secondary and tighten up the pass defense, man, that's all we need, because the run defense has been incredible. But I feel like every single game this season, man, the pass defense has been on their back legs the entire time, and they just get exposed. Like it's been every single game.
there's a comment here from Rod Wave that I feel like we all probably disagree with. At what point do we talk about a new DC another week and more communication issues? I feel like obviously you need to give him time. And also, we're being very critical. The Commanders scored 23 points. They did not score 40 points today. The defense played an okay game. And also, obviously, it would never happen. But if you were to get a new DC right now, you'd just be basically starting over at week, whatever, 6, 7.
Yeah.
So I do think it's going to get better. Bears defense has been really solid this year, holding teams to 21 points. And Kyle Hamilton's unnecessary roughness flag gave me flashbacks to the Titans game last year. LOL from Fishstick. Yeah, that was. What do you say?
That flag was picked up, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I think
that was a clean hit. However, he did
hit stick.
He did hit Daniels in the head earlier, and it didn't get called. But
yeah, well, they hit Lamar out of bounds, literally going out of bounds on the very last play of the game,
twice.
pretty much. So I know he was technically in bounds, but at that point, dude, he's not, like, he's going out of bounds, dude. And it's just one of those things where the defenders get a little too hot-headed.
Yeah. If you guys want to switch it back over to the offensive side, there's a couple things I want to mention. So the Ravens I'm taking out the final drive just in terms of statistical purposes because the game ended. 8 drives, 6 scoring drives. One of those non-scoring drives was a drop turned into a pick in the red zone. And the final 5 drives of the game, the Ravens scored on all 5 of them. Mm-hmm. So you're not going to lose if the offense is clicking that well. And another point to make, there was a comment in here, and it made me look it up to double check, from Charles. Derrick Henry has 700 rushing yards in 6 games.
I was about to say that at the beginning of this pod, but I I didn't want to mess up the number. I almost said
Yeah.
700, but I didn't know if it was 750 or 650. I'm glad Charles said that because I saw something after the game that, like I said earlier in the pod, he's projected to literally he's on pace to shatter like his best career season.
Yeah.
Like it's like crazy what Derrick Henry's doing right now. And 8 touchdowns, he could score 20 touchdowns this season, and he could have
Yeah.
2,000 rushing yards. I mean, it's not impossible, man. It's crazy what he's doing right now, and I'm sure he's loving it being in Baltimore. And he should have been here 5 years ago, but it's awesome that we finally got him. And you're seeing exactly what this offense and team overall is with a running back of that caliber, alongside Lamar. And it's like Lamar Jackson finally has a star to match his stardom, if you would, on
Yeah.
offense. And you're seeing exactly what it's doing. It's forming a juggernaut, and teams just, I pray for you in trying stopping this because you really can't. You just got to hope you can maybe limit one and then hope the other one doesn't kill you. But that's exactly what teams are failing to do right now because this offense is just lights out. And I think, what are we averaging? Probably around 30 plus points a game
Yeah,
this season. I
definitely.
mean, it's insane, dude. It's awesome to see too. It's great.
Yeah, so Derrick Henry's on pace numbers would be 1,994 rushing yards and 22 touchdowns. So
It's crazy.
Golly.
That is wild.
Comment about Justice Hill. Another game perfect in pass pro. There's so many times Commanders blitzing, play action, blitzing off non-play action. Justice Hill's just picking up an edge rusher time and time again. And Lamar had all day to throw for the bigger portion of the game today.
Yeah, this offense is really allowing Lamar Jackson to dial back and just become a phenomenal passer. I'm going to say it. He's been a phenomenal passer the last few weeks. And I hope people are seeing this because all this hate and backlash of Lamar can't throw, man, has been thrown right out the window the last couple of weeks. And back-to-back 300-plus yard games for Lamar through the air with a great completion percentage. And I mean, if you want to look at numbers, he has 2 interceptions on the season, and both of them were hypothetical drops. I mean, they were both drops through wide receivers' hands. So you can pull the numbers all you want, but Lamar is having the best season of his career through the air by far, and it's only going to get better.
I love what GTR says in the chat here. It's just great decisions. It's great football. Like it's such. I feel like they were, it's different because Daniels is, a rookie and he's playing this well. But like, I don't feel like it was kind of shared enough love to Lamar on his side of it being like perfect in his decisions. Everything that he was doing passing wise was literally perfect. Like he almost played a perfect game in that side of it. And it feels like it's kind of going under the radar. I don't know why. I like it's the decision making. The accuracy is a different question. I like what Fishstick's saying, whether that's a question. I don't necessarily am the one to question. I don't think that's been a problem.
I don't even know I don't think he had a miss today.
Yeah, the Andrews pass was a little high. I think.
Little. Yeah.
But like, so
that
it could have
been
been better.
one. I would.
Yeah, that's really it. I think the likely pass one was. Yeah,
I will
that's the
say
same comment.
the likely pass likely got tangled up with the defender.
Yeah.
It could have. I'm not saying it should have, but it could have been a penalty potentially. But the ball was also thrown a little bit towards the back of the end zone, so I wouldn't say it's a miss necessarily. But I'm not concerned about Lamar's accuracy. He's been on point, like on fire the last few weeks, and I don't really know what more we could ask from him as far as a passing standpoint.
Yeah, like no one's talking about Mahomes' accuracy. No one's talking about Josh Allen's accuracy. No one's talking about Justin Herbert's accuracy. I don't think we should be talking about Lamar's accuracy either, with like 2 slight misses in a 320-plus yard game. But that's just kind of going to be the way it is with how his career started and the basically criticism that he's gotten. Guys, 2 drives today. A 93-yard touchdown drive, which was the longest of the season. And then right after that, a 94-yard touchdown drive. It's just – that's insane. 2 90-plus yard touchdown drives. And both it's not like it was a 2-play drive, right? One of them was 8 plays, and the other one was 9 plays. They took up 5 minutes, and basically both of them took up 5 minutes. So it's not even like, oh, you're scoring a 90-yard touchdown, got lucky. Now they're marching down the field for 90 yards 2 separate times in a game.
And it happens exactly when the Ravens need it the most, when they need to kill clock, go down, put points on the board, and keep their foot on the gas pedal. This offense is responding in a very great way right now as far as when they need it the most. And it's night and day. This team right now is night and day different than what we saw week 2 against the Raiders. Like this team would kill the week 2 team. And it's great to think about it like that because I mean seriously, this team is 100% different than what we saw in week 2. And they're just a lot better and there's a lot more chemistry being grown and there's a lot more consistency on the offense. And they're just playing much better football. And that's why they're 4-2.
I'm gonna like sing a mean song again. I'm so sorry. I don't know what's up with the Linderbaum like random bad snaps. Like
Mhm.
that's happened 3 weeks straight now. Like where it's been like a really bad one all of a sudden. It's almost like we're kind of due for one every week. I don't know whether it's just like, not fully concentrating or what, but if we had lost that fumble, which I think we should have, if Bobby Wagner just somehow looked down
Lamar
at
somehow
all.
got back on
Yeah,
that.
how in the world did that
I
happen?
don't know how he got back on that.
But think about how big of a hole we were digging for ourselves if Lamar loses that fumble. I mean, golly, Buford sold. I like that taco ball.
Buford sold.
Yeah, something's up with
Oh,
Buford
man.
right now. Something's up.
This is interesting. Could Bateman and Lamar be our longest wide receiver quarterback duo? It's definitely possible because they've been playing since 2021, and Zay was just a rookie last year, so could be possible. Lamar will always be underrated and hated because it's not 40 touchdown passes and 5,000 passing yards, but when he loses, they're so fast to say what he did wrong. Very true. Even though, it's like no one's even really passing for 4,000 yards anymore. Even 4,000 yards is like a few guys
Yeah.
a season, maybe 5 guys, and Lamar is probably going to hit 4,000 this year. So
That'd be incredible.
that'd be cool to see.
I want to
Buford.
say, I just want to give a quick shout out to one player that was unnecessarily receiving a lot of backlash first couple weeks, and I will admit that I was a little harsh on him. But Justin Tucker, man, he is he has put all that in the rearview mirror the last few weeks and has said like, I don't know what you guys are talking about. Like I'm still here. Like I'm still great. And I'm not saying he's going out here draining 65 yarders like Brandon Aubrey. I get that. But like the first few weeks, he missed a couple chip shots that he usually drills and there was obvious concern. But I will say the last 2 weeks, man, he has put that in the rearview mirror and has came out there and did what he's always done best. And I know I shouldn't be shouting out Justin Tucker because we know he's great, but he got a lot of unnecessary backlash, and he's done exactly what we needed the last 2 weeks, especially in Cincinnati last week. Dude drilling a 56-yarder with the game on the line, and then hitting obviously the game winner was like a 20-yarder. But and today he went what 3 for 3, 4 for 4, whatever it was. So props to him, man. I'm glad that he's kind of recertified himself as, hey, I'm still a really good kicker, because we knew he was, but all the fans start chirping and stuff, and it gets crazy. But he's put on a great last 2 weeks, and I'm happy to say that he has now put that in the rearview mirror.
Yeah, definitely. One final stat sticking out to me: Ravens had 30 first downs last week, 28 this week. Just insane numbers.
Whew.
Yeah, Nelly did have another big catch today. It felt like there was a couple drives, and same thing with Bengals game. It's like Ravens have a false start, puts them in a bad spot, and then it's like an 18-yard pass to Aguilar. Just feels like the past 2 weeks that keeps happening over and over again. It's similar to like when we're Ravens fans, we're watching the Ravens defense in 2011 play against Brady and Manning, and it's like no matter what the Ravens defense would do, those guys would just find ways to get 18 yards on 3rd and 15 and all that. And it feels like that's kind of what the Ravens have been doing these past 2 games with Lamar in the passing game, especially off play action. But you guys have any other thoughts coming out of this one?
Not really, man. Just an all around really good game. And I'm happy to see the offense stacking now 4 games in a row of just dominance, touchdown, 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 high point scoring games. And man, it's great to see. Like I mean, myself included, all of us, we started 0-2, and this season was looking a little dark for us because as it should have been. It was very scary to think about how this season could quickly fall into you know, the gates of hell. But this team has reeled off 4 in a row, man, and against really good teams, dude. I mean, going into Dallas is not easy. I don't care what anyone says about the Cowboys, that is not easy to do. Going into Dallas, handling business, coming home against the Bills, who are undefeated, the best team in the NFL at the time. And I say this very lightly because they kind of are. Um, very wishy-washy with how they perform on a week-to-week basis. But I mean, that's 2-0. Going into Dallas, beating them, coming home to Buffalo, beating them. I mean, literally blowing the doors off them. Going into Cincinnati, who always plays us very tough, and as they did last week, and getting the last play and winning that game. And then coming home against the Washington Commanders, who are 4-1 with the rookie phenom in Jayden Daniels, and winning that game the way we did. I mean, that is 4 really tough games for the Ravens, and they have shut the door on all 4 of them, and now are 4-2, and the season's looking as bright as ever. So, I'm not getting too carried away because we have a really tough game next week too. But it feels great to be 4-2 because 4 weeks ago, guys, we felt awful about how the season was going to quickly turn around, and I think we can all feel pretty great with how it is right now.
Yeah, my only final thought is that I'm pretty bought in on Jayden Daniels. I went in very skeptical. I don't know why. Everything that he'd done so far has been nothing short of amazing. He's been the reason they're winning, and I just kind of wanted to see him really do it against an elite team, and he was doing it as much as he could for them. I think as time goes on, they'll only get better. I think they'll keep upgrading the defense, and they will be definitely a force to be reckoned with as time goes on.
Yeah, the Bengals game on Monday night was my first sort of thought about how is this guy a rookie? And we didn't – I mean, we mentioned him a little bit today, but he finishes 24 for 35, 269, 2 touchdowns and no picks, 110 passer rating, 22 rushing yards. Just not rookie stuff. And it's good to see, honestly, especially with the guy in the NFC. We don't have to worry about him too much. I think it's nice to finally – maybe with Caleb and Williams and Jayden Daniels, finally getting some – elite young quarterbacks on the other side of the NFL for once. Got a comment from Dawson here. Schedule doesn't get much easier. Bucks next week and then 3 division games in the next 5. That is true. If you look at the schedule, you might think it's easy. Division games are never easy. So definitely doesn't really get much easier. So I do agree with that. Obviously, it'll probably be a little easier than Cowboys, Bills, Bengals, Commanders 4 in a row, but it doesn't light up a ton, I would say. So appreciate all you guys for being here today. We'll be back Tuesday, most likely Tuesday night, with a Q&A episode. Maybe Wednesday, we'll see what's going on there. But appreciate you guys for listening, and we'll see you guys later. Peace.